On January 27, 2010, President Barack Obama made his first State of the Union address to Congress and to the American people. The President tried to assure us that although we have experienced some difficult times over the past year, he is charting the right course for America's future. But in reality, our Union is in a state of peril. President Obama's first year in office has been underscored by reckless government spending, skyrocketing national debt, a terrible economy, and dangerous national security policies. In 2009, over 3 million Americans lost their jobs. 2.8 million American families received foreclosure notices on their homes. 1.5 million Americans declared personal bankruptcy. Tens of thousands of businesses closed their doors. Congress passed a $1 trillion stimulus plan, which the President assured us would keep unemployment under 8%. In reality, the plan did nothing to stop rising unemployment and instead simply stimulated the growth of government. President Obama's budget blueprint redefines the role of government in our society and adds more to our national debt than all previous presidents combined, from George Washington to George W. Bush. In 2009, the federal budget deficit reached a record $1.5 trillion, and our nation's debt exceeded $12 trillion, which amounts to 87% of America's gross domestic product. For the first time in our nation's history, the number of government employees exceeded the number of employees in goods-producing industries. Over $300 billion was spent to bail out our troubled financial institutions. Over $80 billion was spent to bail out failed automakers. While President Obama traveled the world apologizing for America's past mistakes in a hope of appeasing our enemies, we experienced the first 2 domestic terror attacks in our nation since 2001. Our Justice Department decided to read Miranda rights to terrorist suspects and bring known terrorists into our country to stand trial in our civilian courts. Instead of focusing on policies that would provide incentives for businesses to create new jobs, President Obama and his allies in Congress forced a government takeover of our healthcare industry down the throats of the American people. They worked to pass cap-and-trade legislation that would impose one of the largest tax increases in our nation's history. And they flew to Copenhagen to negotiate an agreement that would have surrendered America's sovereignty to a new world government. In the dead of night, the President signed an executive order giving Interpol full diplomatic immunity from operating under the guidelines of our U.S. Constitution. Americans today are less prosperous, less safe, and less free than we were just one short year ago. As Thomas Paine said at the dawn of our nation's founding, these are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country. But he that stands by it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered, yet we have this consolation with us, that the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. The state of our union is certainly in peril, but we can place hope in the spirit of the American people who have repeatedly proven their willingness to defend liberty against all threats, whether foreign or domestic. God willing, America's brightest days still await us in the future.